Zach Lavine might have just played his last game as a Chicago Bull. He's going to miss several weeks with a foot injury. He's missed the last 5 and will continue to miss several weeks due to that injury. And his last game that he played was on November 28th, and that might have been his last game as a Chicago Bull. I know I am a tiny bit late to Zach's injury, but now I think is a good time for me to talk about it because 5 games have gone by without Zach, and the Bulls played tonight. Today's December 12th, that's when I'm recording this. It's currently 8:02 p.m. where I am at, and Bulls are going to be starting very soon, but I will not be including that game in today's video, so whatever happens in that game, they're probably going to lose because it's the Nuggets, but who knows, we will see. And I'm going to be talking about what the Bulls have done in the past 5 games without Zach, and what the future can look like without him on the team at all. So first, I want to talk about Zach and what he has done this season. So in Zach's 7th season in Chicago, he's averaging 21 points per game, 5 rebounds, and about 3.5 assists per game. And this 21 points per game, this is his lowest average since his first year in Chicago. In all 7 seasons so far, 21 points per game is his lowest since that first year. His first year, I think it was 18 points per game, but he did tear his ACL about like 20-something games into the season. So I don't know if I should really count that, but still, he played like 20-something games. He averaged 18, and now he's averaging 21. And shooting 44% from the field this year. That's his lowest since his first year in Chicago, which is still pretty solid. But 33% from 3 on the year. I know it's only been 18 games, but this is lowest ever. Of his whole career, 33% from 3 is his lowest ever. It isn't a huge downgrade from his career average. Last year he shot about 37.5%, and in the 2022 season he shot about 39%. And there's also one year where he did shoot 41% from 3, which is crazy. And now this season he's shooting 33% from 3, which is his lowest ever. And I know it's 18 games and he's not playing amazing, but I don't know, man. It's just this is not a good season for Zach. And also listen to this. Since November 28th, that was when Zach Lavine last played, the Chicago Bulls are 4-1 in their last 5 games. And they've beaten the Bucks and the Pelicans, who are both playoff teams. And the Bucks basically are one of the best teams in the entire NBA. And that game, I believe is November 30th, they had no DeMar. Yeah, no DeMar, no Zach, just Nikola Vucevic and everybody else, like Coby White, Patrick Williams, Ida Sunmu, Alex Caruso. He was the one who made the game-tying shot to send it into overtime. And Pelicans, that was also a good win. And I don't remember the score, but I don't remember the score of any of these games. I don't have them written down. But the only loss was yesterday, Monday, December 11th, to the Bucks, and they lost by 4 in overtime. I was watching that game. It was a kind of stinker in overtime, but the rest of the game I was really impressed on how they played, especially Coby White, DeMar, but they all had good games. Patrick Williams did pretty solid, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember what he ended up with, but still, 4-1 in their last 5 games, not including this Denver one, because I believe they're playing in a few minutes now. They're starting to, so I'm not going to be talking about that game. But 4-1 in their last 5 games without Zach Lavine. So without Zach Lavine, I want to talk about 2 players that kind of really caught my attention, and then I'll just go into everybody else on the Bulls. But the first is DeMar. I mean, in the last 4 games, he did miss 1 game against Milwaukee where the Bulls did win. So in the last 4 games, DeMar has been averaging 28.5 points per game, about 5 rebounds, and 8.5 assists per game. For an ISO-heavy player like DeMar, for him to be averaging 8.5 assists in the last 5 games, or 4 games, I know it's only been 4 games, but still, 2 of those games he had 11 assists. When's the last time Zach Lavine had 10 or more assists? I think DeMar had more 10 or more games with 10 or more assists than Zach Lavine has had in the last 2 seasons. Maybe even 3. I don't even know, but DeMar, he knows when he needs to go in the backseat, take a step back, and let the other guys score when they have a hot hand, like Coby White, Nikola Vucevic, Patrick Williams, or whoever. He knows when he has to like just chill out, pass them the ball, and he's been averaging 8.5 assists per game in the last 4 games, and I don't know, DeMar's my favorite player. I've mentioned that like in every single video, or as much as I can, and out of Zach and DeMar, if either of them are going to get traded, trade Zach, keep DeMar. Zach is going to get traded, but I just want to keep DeMar on this team. If the Bulls want to win games, I think they should definitely keep DeMar, because the Bulls also mentioned today that they are trying to like get win now players and at least try to win this season, which is kind of confusing because they're like 9-15 or something like that, 9-16. But who knows? Maybe they could make the play-in. I don't know. It depends on who they can get for Zach Lavine and whoever else they trade. But if they want to win now, I think they should definitely keep DeMar. That's just my opinion. Make sure you guys share your opinions on who you think the Bulls should trade in the comments below. But now let's talk about Coby White. In the last 5 games, Coby White has been averaging 26 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, and 5.5 assists per game, while shooting 50% from the field and 54% from 3. He's been playing amazing in the last 11 or so games, but especially in the last 5 without Zach Lavine. He's taken a huge jump, like I just said, averaging 26 points per game in the last 5 or so games. It's really impressive, and I think he's going to be a really good player. He had a rough start to the season, same with Patrick Williams. I'm going to talk about him in a moment, but Coby White, I really like his game. And in the last 11 games, he's hit 3 or more threes per game. In the last 11 games, he's had 3 or more threes in every single one. And he also hit 8 threes against the Pelicans, and they won that game, which is like truly impressive. And now I want to talk about just whoever else I really want to, and then I'll get into the Zach Lavine trade. So I guess I'll mention Patrick Williams as well, because I like what I've seen from him recently. He started off really bad, averaging like 3 points a game, but recently he's been averaging like in the past 5 games, he's been averaging I think 13 points a game, which is pretty solid, but recently he's looked a lot more aggressive. He's been playing a lot better recently. It's not something like 26 points per game like Coby White over here, but it's pretty. I like what I've seen from Patrick Williams as well, because we've seen, like I just said, we've seen more aggression from him, which is really, really cool, because I want Patrick Williams to like be more aggressive and look for shots instead of just being a spot-up 3-point shooter. He hasn't shot amazing from 3 this season, but still, he's 21 years old and in like his 4th season. So yeah, now let's talk about Zach and where he could end up. So where is Zach Lavine gonna end up? Is he gonna end up on the Heat? Is he gonna end up on the Pacers? Is he gonna end up in Portland or even LA? LA has shown interest in him, and out of all the teams in the entire NBA, I don't want to see him in a Lakers jersey, because I just don't. And if Chicago were ever to win an NBA championship ever again, which it won't happen soon, I would want Zach Lavine to be here, because he spent the last 6.5 seasons here in Chicago, and he's been very professional about it. He's been an amazing player for Chicago, and I just wish him the best wherever he ends up. If he gets traded, I'm sure he will, but if Chicago, whenever, whether it's 10 years in the future, maybe bring Zach back here on a 1-year deal when he's 40 years old, so maybe he could eventually win an NBA championship, because I just want to see Zach win. I like Zach Lavine. But I think I'm going to wrap it up there for today's video. The Bulls are playing the Nuggets right now. It's like close to the end of the first quarter, so I'm going to go out and watch that right now while I'm editing and posting this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure you guys put your thoughts in the comments below. Peace.